Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today to Women Have Needs Too. Women have needs too. Right now, I need to get my credit in check. Today, we're with Jeanne Kelley. She is an author, and she's also been on the Today Show, CNN, and the Breakfast Club. So she knows her stuff. Jeanne, thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited about this topic and we're going to get into why I'm excited about it, but thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, it's so much fun. Now, credit isn't usually a fun thing to talk about, is it? It kind of gets, some people don't want to talk about it at all, and others want to know how to get to the next level.
Right.
I was one of those people. I was married for 32 years, and I think I had bad credit, like 29 of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, but once I got divorced, I was able to concentrate on getting my stuff together. I want to say that other word, but we're going to keep it clean. But I had to get my stuff straight, right? And so I took the baby steps to get there. But, you know, you're the expert. You know, what are the tips? What are the bottom line of getting that credit? And I want to say something too before we get into it. I'm sorry, but we're the only country, I think, in the world who puts so much weight on credit cards and having these credit, what do you call them? Credit lines of credit. Because when you go to like Germany and the UK and the Canadians, a lot of times I used to sell cell phones back in the 90s, and people used to come over and they would have vacation homes here. They would buy their vacation home with cash. They would buy their car, their vehicle with cash, because they would live here a few months and but they would come here and they had their stuff together too. They had books of everything that they had organized. And do you know, I couldn't sell them a cell phone because they didn't have any credit.
I mean, right. And that's the thing, like even when we're financially stable, we don't want to walk away from credit. That's when I say play the credit game.
That's what I had to start doing. For the longest time, I'm like, no, I don't want a credit card. I want to pay cash for everything because I don't want bad credit. And I don't want to buy anything that I can't afford. That was my mentality. But then I learned that no credit is just as bad as having bad credit.
Yeah, because there's nothing there. They can't find you. So it's the same thing. It's starting like there's nothing. There's no credit score. And we need the credit when it comes to, I wish I could have saved for my home, but when you're buying a major purchase, it's very hard to do that cash, so that's where you have to use the credit cards, not thinking I can't afford it, I shouldn't buy it. No, I use credit cards as the tools of the base to build for that big ticket item. And even if it's for the car, to get that low interest rate where those credit cards helped me because I played the credit game and I didn't use them. I always tell everyone, don't use them. It's not a sale if you're going to put it on a credit card and it's going to take you a long time to pay it off because of the interest. Then it's not a bargain. But if you, like, I know I had to put gas in my car. I use one card for that. Mm-hmm. So it shows activity. I know I have to pay my Verizon cell bill. I put one card attached to that. So things I already know I have to buy, I use credit cards to show activity and to pay bills I already know I have to pay. So not to get into more debt.
And so do you make sure you pay that off at the end of each month?
Absolutely. So, and that's the other thing. Now, I will have a lot of people say, well, I pay my credit card to zero every month. So I never carry a balance. Okay. So that is great. But I do want to say when they kick out the statement to you, that's the statement balance date. I always say, know that date. Because when let's say you're going to use that credit card and you use everything for it, the groceries, the traveling to work, whatever it may be, maybe it does come to a few $1,000s during the month.
Right.
Even though that you're going to pay that, if they always report the statement balance to the credit bureaus. So if that's high, let's say $3,000, $4,000, they're reporting that balance. So I always say, know your statement balance date, pay it 72 hours before. So when they kick out the statement balance, it'll be lower, even if you used it $100 in the next 72 hours. So what? It shows the lower balance. And again, 30% of your FICO score, and we care about that scoring model because 90% of lenders care about your FICO score. There's a zillion scores out there, but
Right.
30% of your score is based on balances. So that's why it's better to have it. They don't have to be zero, but it's good to show lower balances.
All right, so yeah, so it's 30% or 33? It's 30.
30%. So like the magic numbers, again, that's the score. And I just say it again because people will say, well, my Credit Karma says this, or my credit card says this, or I went to one of the credit bureaus and this is my score. Those are all different scores. FICO is 90% of lenders use it. So if you're going for a mortgage, they're going to look at your FICO score.
All right,
You know,
so how does someone look, how do we get to look at our FICO score?
so you can purchase your FICO score at myfico.com, but you do have to purchase it. And it doesn't hurt your credit if you pull your own credit through MyFICO. So if before a major item like a mortgage, I would want to purchase my FICO score and make sure it's in good shape. Now you can always get your credit for free and look at your credit report at annualcreditreport.com. And that's looking directly, that's a sponsored site by Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. So it's just one site where you can get all three reports. You're just not going to get a score, which is fine.
Mhm.
Look at the report, look at it in detail. That's my number one credit rule. Know what's being reported about you.
Okay, know what's being reported. I like that. Number one, credit rule. All right, so do you have a number two?
Okay, so then know what the FICO score is made up of, because once you know the rules of any game, you can play it better.
That's true.
35% is payment history. So if you have late payments, you're going to have points taken away. If you pay everything on time, then you're going to have the most of that part of the score. And late payments can stay on your credit report for 7 years. Okay, but that doesn't mean time heals all wounds.
It does, because I had, like, I think I already said that. And I gradually started getting better and better and better and better. Now I'm at this like hold pattern,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So where is there a goal? What I mean, I'm sure, you know, it's hard to have perfect credit, isn't it? Or is it not that easy? I mean, is it
Not
that difficult?
Yeah, so let me just say 35% payment history, 30% the balances, 15% length, how long you've been using it, 10% types. FICO likes to see more than just credit cards. They like to see installment loans. So like maybe a student loan, maybe
A
a
car.
car loan, a mortgage. Okay, 10%, and then 10% new credit. And this is the love hate, I feel like, of the score, because when you first get a new account and the new inquiry, it drops your score, but then 4 months later, you'll start getting points for it. So that's the breakdown. Now, as far as a good FICO score, 740 and above, that would be amazing if you can maintain 740 or above. It doesn't matter then if you're 780 and 800, you're still going to go into a bank and get the lowest rate they can offer. So
Okay.
that should be your goal. You know, it's like getting
What
an
is
A+.
the goal?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, very good.
And like I said, though, like time heals all wounds. So if I've had people say, oh, I had bad credit. I just have bad credit. It's been years. I haven't looked at my report, but you have to look, because sometimes you're thinking it's much worse than it is. Or
Yeah.
even if it is bad, okay, because I had bad credit, that's what got me into this industry. But you look at it and then you know I'm committed. So then next month, there won't be a new late payment. And the month later, so time does heal. Even if the credit has a late payment from 3 years ago, it's not as damaging as in the moment. Like if you were late last month, they're going to take a lot of points because it's a red flag, like, uh-oh, there can be financial risk. But if it's from 3 years ago, maybe it's only costing 15 points off your credit score. You know what I
Okay,
mean? So that's why I say it can heal.
good to know. I
Yeah.
want to back up just a tad.
Okay.
When you talked about the difference between Credit Karma and FICO, what is the difference? I mean, why is there a difference? What makes the difference?
So FICO, that's a company, Fair Isaac, who invented this scoring model, and the banks are buying that scoring model. So when it comes to Credit Karma, they're using an educational scoring model. So it could be like me. I could say, oh, who wants to buy my score? Jeanne Kelley credit score. If the banks aren't buying it for lending, who really cares what score? I could give everybody an A plus.
Right.
Credit Karma, I think it's still good to check in. I mean, it's free, but always know there's a price you pay. Like, they can be selling your information. They got to make money somewhere. So it's really a marketing site.
Right.
Not saying that it's bad, but I'm just saying that score is nothing that you're going to see compared to the FICO. They're not the same at all. They're not calculated the same. They could be close, but they're not the same.
And I didn't understand that when I went to go buy my car a couple years ago. And when I went in there, the loan officer said, well, he wasn't going to give me the interest rate that I wanted. And I said, what are you talking about? My credit score's da da da. And he's like, where did you get that? And I said, on Credit Karma. He's like, that doesn't mean a thing. I'm like, why not? I was upset.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's scamming me. I was thinking that he was not telling me the full honest truth, but evidently he was.
And not to confuse everyone more, but there's more than one FICO score. So it's like, what, Jeannie? But there's a FICO score for auto loans. There's a FICO score for credit cards. There's the FICO score for mortgage lending. So there's variety of FICO, but if you follow that breakdown that I gave you, you'll be good no matter what score.
That's good information. That's good information. Yeah. Okay, so now I want to talk about your business because you are the credit guru.
Thanks.
Right? What's the name of your company again?
Yeah, so hard to remember with my name, Jeanne Kelley. It's called the Kelley Group.
The Kelley Group. Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, so the Kelley Group, and you are the credit guru. I mean, people seek you out, right?
Yeah.
So when you get a new customer and are going to help them with their credit, you look at it. What is the first thing you look at that you can help them with?
So I look at everything. Like, I'll look at the credit report, and a lot of times I'll have people want to just talk and talk and talk. I'm like, just let me look at the report, because let me just see it. Then we'll talk about, why did this happen? Everybody has a story. I always say nobody wants to not pay their bills, right? So it's really upsetting. It's very emotional. And at least when we talk about it, we'll talk about it once. You only have to tell me once. We will share that story over and over and over to the creditors and the credit bureaus, but we know what to say, what not to say, but just tell me once. And again, I take the stress part out.
Yeah.
And then we look at the report and we just pull it apart. It's like putting a puzzle together I love that. Like, okay, what can we do for some quick updates, and then what's our long-term goal? Because sometimes it's not easy getting to that 740. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it's money because things have to be paid. So it just depends. Every credit situation is so different.
And I can tell you that it is so worth the time. And sometimes it doesn't take as long as you think it does, because like you said, things fall off. It may not be as bad as you think, number one. Number two, it may not take as much work as you think it's going to take. I think more than anything, it takes discipline. I was curious about this. A long time ago, somebody let me borrow their Susie Orman book.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
Yes. and I didn't read the whole thing, obviously, but I did read some of it. And she was talking about how to pay things off. I mean, and I don't really remember everything that she said, but are you paying the little things off so you have less to pay, less debt, or do you try to pay off the large one first?
So here's the thing. Not now, I'm not a financial expert like Susie, but I'm a credit expert. So here's why I say pick the little things. And I do think Susie and I agree on this because I've heard her say this as well. The one reason is it makes you feel good when you're starting. If you pick the little one and then that's paid off, it's done, it's lowered, let's move to the next one.
Mhm.
Because some people will say, well, pick the one with the highest interest rate. And they could say, doesn't make sense to me. But if that's going to take you 4 years, 4 years to feel good about what you're working on. And so I always pick the small balances
Mhm.
and work my way up. The other thing of why I think as a credit expert that's smart to do is then you're not paying 7 different accounts where one could slip through the crack. So
Right.
now you're organizing. I'm very big on organizational. So it's like, okay, now instead of paying 7 or 10 accounts, I just cleaned up those 4 little ones. Now I'm down. And now I cleaned up this. Okay, now I have 2 major card balances, but now you're just tackling the two. And it is a mind game because I remember when I was doing this, and once I got down to those two, it felt so good to get rid of all those others. It made me budget better. I don't know why. It's just one of those things where I'm like, I got rid of so many. Let me really keep focusing because it feels so good.
Because it's like when you start working out and you start eating right, you don't want that cookie because you worked hard to get where you are. So you're like, I can do without that cookie. Not all the time, but mine isn't really a cookie, mine's a brownie. But I don't buy brownie mix anymore. Actually, I've had a pack of brownie mix in my cabinet for probably 6 months, and I have not made that because I'm determined to make the good, healthy brownie mix. And I know I've gone off tangent, but it goes back to the credit where you start working and you're working hard on something, you're not going to mess it up. But if you forget about it and you're like your head is in the sand about it, you're going to keep on with your regular ways, I feel.
Absolutely. It's habit. Once we get in the habit, and like I said, the feeling good. And, I spoke to a woman the other day who, again, she didn't want to pull her credit. She was completely afraid, told me about, oh, the situation. And then when we pulled it, there was nothing there. I'm like, how long have you been living so afraid? She's like, well, I haven't looked at it in, like, I don't know, maybe it has been 10 years. So I'm like, can you imagine living with that fear? And
Right.
now I'm like, well, now you're at square one. Okay, okay, so there's nothing bad, but you have to do stuff. We got to add stuff on your credit report now and make it, add new healthy credit. So that's why I say it's so important to just look what's going on.
It's so true. And this show, my whole business, Women Have Needs Too, is all about inspiring and empowering women to live their fullest lives. And when you get your credit in check, it is empowering. It was empowering to me to know that I could walk into a car dealership and get a good rate. And I didn't have to have a cosigner, or they didn't try to talk me into a cheaper car. I drove out of there with my BMW convertible and I was proud and empowered and happy,
That
you
is,
know?
oh yeah, definitely financial freedom. Like you feel that fabulous feeling, not trapped and scared to go in.
Yeah,
What am I going to do? I mean, my car, I was so broke that my car didn't have windshield wipers that worked. And I'm in New York. So every time it would rain, and I was a waitress back then, I would just sit in my car and watch the rain and think how crappy my life was.
right.
That I couldn't get home and I couldn't fix the wipers and I couldn't get a new car because I was stuck. I had bad credit. No one would have given me a loan. So I know what it feels like feeling like that. And I know that fabulous feeling of walking in that dealership. And now I'm to the point where it's not, am I going to get declined or approved? It's approved at what rate? And I want that
Exactly.
low rate. That's the beautiful
And the
feeling.
goal is to have that 0 interest rate. I don't even know if anybody's doing that right now, but I have never had a 0 interest rate, but I aspire to do that one day.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the game of credit. So that's why I say it's a great conversation to
Yeah.
have, to talk about, because we're not talking about, oh, Jeannie's a credit expert. Oh, she only helps people who have bad credit. That's not true. It's educational. How do we work with, I have good credit. I want to have great credit. I have great credit. I want to have excellent credit. How do I stay there? How do I know what to do when a financial problem is having?
Yes.
Like I lost my job, or I'm going through a divorce, or whatever. Nobody, again, we all don't want those things to happen, but when they happen, how do I navigate it the best way? And so,
Well, and yeah, and the thing is that people who have never had an issue like that before, because of the last year that we've been through, there might be more people who have had some things happen, right?
absolutely,
I mean,
absolutely.
I know the government is trying to protect that by telling people, they can put off their mortgage and put off their rent and put off their car payment, but that only lasts so long. And then, if you weren't making any money, and you can only do so much. So they have a whole new situation this year than they may have had last year.
Absolutely. And the thing is, so again, I'm from New York. I remember, it reminds me of after September 11th for us New Yorkers, that in New York, there were so many things, not paying this, not paying that. But if you got approved for that, a lot of times people are like, oh, I won't pay because I know because of COVID, the CARES Act. But did you call? Are you in the right program?
Right.
So making sure, if you need the help, you're calling, you're asking for it, you're reading over that contract, you're seeing, is there going to be damage to my credit because of this? When I get out of this program, is it going to be a lump sum? Because is that really helpful? You have to, it's
Right.
scary times.
Yeah. Why put off the inevitable? If you can afford to pay those bills, pay them now.
Right,
That's how I feel.
right,
Why prolong it? You're gonna be thankful later that you did it, instead of spending that money on something else.
right,
Put it
exactly.
towards your bills, stay current, and that way it's not gonna haunt you.
Exactly. And I had, and unfortunately, when this was in the beginning, I was telling everyone exactly what you just said. Don't take it if you don't need it. If you have no other choice and you can't pay your bill and you did get laid off or whatever happened, then that's a different story. But if well, I do have money in the bank, should I use that to keep going? Well, here's exactly what's happening now. Some people said, well, I took some of that money and I used it for stock market, or I did this, or I did that. They're trying to refinance now or buy a house. But now, underwriting, it might not have affected your credit score. And I'm not a mortgage lender, but I've been hearing, because I talk to mortgage lenders every single day, they're like, this is the problem we're running into. We'll ask for 12 months of mortgage history payment and they can't give it to us because and so now we can't approve it, and they got to wait until the 12th month is up where they made 12 payments. Even though, again, it didn't affect the credit score, it can affect the mortgage application. So
Right.
hopefully you just have to keep an eye on that. And if you're in that now, and within a year you want to start making those payments, get out of it, because
Yes.
yeah,
Very good.
yeah.
So much good information, and I can't wait to talk to you again, because we're gonna get down and dirty next time. How do people get a hold of you, Jeannie?
So they can go to my website, jeanniekelley.net, and then all my contact info is there. And also, I can give you a link for your audience, to download my book for free, the 90-day credit challenge.
Oh, wonderful. What is that?
I'll send you the link. It's on my
Okay,
Instagram.
send me the link and we'll
Okay.
get it in there. Thank
Okay,
you.
perfect. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jeannie. That has been such fantastic information, and I know it helped you someone today. So
Awesome.
thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Can't wait to be back. This was fun.
Yes, I will. I will definitely have you back because it's great information and it helps keep the women inspired and empowered to get to that next level. So everybody out there, thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Jeannie. Stay inspired, stay empowered. Women have needs too. Get your credit in check.